Very good morning, children. I am L.K. Tripathi here. Dear students, as we have been studying chapter 9 of history, so many things we have seen in the last videos about the chapter. We shall start now a new topic, that is changes in the position of human. Let us take a look at the key factors that led colonial administrators and middle class India to question the status of human in the 19th century. Introduction of English education. The ideas of rationalism, humanism, equality and individualism became the dominant streams of European thought. Through English education, many Indians became familiar with these Western ideas. Thus, they began to critically question the prevailing attitude towards religion and society. Gradually, they realized that the cause of human subjugation was the internal weakness of their social structure. Human became central in the reform movement as they constituted almost half of the total population. Impact of printing. With the introduction of the printing press, books, newspapers, leaflets, pamphlets, and magazines became common as these were easily printed. They were far cheaper and more accessible than manuscripts. Therefore, ordinary people could read these, and many of them could also write and express their ideas in their own language. Reform movements. Several social reforms felt that education was education was the first step towards humans' emancipation. Once educated, humans would themselves become aware of their rights. Thus, they laid stage on women's education and on social legislation that would address evils like child marriage, polygamy, sati, etc. Initiative of colonial administrators. As you have read in chapter 8, many British thinkers and administrators saw India as a barbaric country They also believed that as rulers they were on a civilizing mission. So they posed themselves as protectors of Indian women against brutal patriarchal practices. These administrators passed many laws to improve the status of women in India. Initiatives of human reformers and writers. Following the spread of Western education, many like Tarabai Shinde and Pandita Ramabai wrote and published their critical views on the place of women in society. Due to their efforts, Indian women also began to enter universities. How changes came about? The first schools for girls, the most important landmark in girls' education was the founding of a school in Calcutta, the Hindu Balika Vidyalaya by John Eliot Drinkwater Bethune. In his school, no man was allowed within the walls of the institutions, and proper means of transport were arranged for girls. In spite of opposition, Muslim girls' schools were set up in Lucknow and Aligarh. Begum Ruqayya Sakhawat Hussain started schools for Muslim girls in Patna and Calcutta. She believed that the aim of education was to equip women with passion to rebuild the entire world. Her school in Calcutta flourished amidst all opposition. Movement against child marriage. The practice of child marriage prevailed in many parts of India. Often girls were married at the age of 2 or 3 when they were too young to understand what marriage meant. It also put an end to the education that girls might have been receiving. Besides, their health got affected as their bodies were not ready to bear children at such a tender age. In many cases, child marriage was also responsible for early widowhood. Thus, social reformers took up the task of putting an end to this practice and encouraged state legislation on this matter. They condemned the practice of child marriage and advocated ending child marriage through legislation. In 1860, the marriageable age of girls was raised to 10 years. In 1891, the age of consent act was passed largely due to the efforts of Behramji Malabadi. By this act, a girl's legally approved age for marriage was raised to 12 years, before which she could not be forced to have physical relations with her husband. The next act known as the Sharda Act 1929 increased the age of consent to 14 for females and 18 for males. Movements against sati. Sati was practiced in many parts of India, especially in Bengal. Many traditionalists believed that the act of self-immolation helped a widow and her dead husband attain spiritual salvation. The woman who became a sati was also reversed as a goddess. This ritual was believed to be an act of purity, self-sufficiency, and dignity. The Orthodox group supported sati and justified it on the basis of scriptures such as the Smritis and Dharmashastras. In 1829, Lord William Bentinck, the British Governor General, passed an act to ban the practice of sati. So up to here we have seen. In the next video we shall discuss about the movement of widow remarriage, major reforms, all that. Till then, thank you.